Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Good. Jim gets walked this way, and I don't know what I got, but it sounded like a waltz. First of all, as you could tell, I am from New York. Wait. Even worse, I'm from Long Island. So forgive me for a couple of things. I might butcher some words. I'm going to move around a lot. And unlike Barack Obama, I don't need to stand here for us to have a conversation. So let's get started. Normally, I would come here and say, let's have a conversation about the market, because that's what we all care about. We care about making money. We care about growing our investments. We care about good ideas, actionable investment ideas, correct? Good. So normally say, well, where are we in the market? Where are we in the world? But first, we're going to spend a few minutes talking about you. We're going to spend a few minutes doing something that I don't think the investment community or the media does enough of, and that's how do you actually approach the market? How do you approach the market? How do you look at it? I will tell you how I look at it. First of all, you see me standing up here today, and yes, I am part of Fast Money. I love Melissa Lee. I love Guy Adami. I love Pete, Karen, Timmy, the whole gang. We have a great time. Susan Krakauer, Mary Duffy, John Malloy, who run the show behind the scenes, they're phenomenal work for. We really do have a phenomenal time. But I'm not a reporter. I'm not a television reporter. I don't want to be. I'm just like you. I could go sit right there, because at the end of the day, I care about making money, okay? I'm basically, in essence, a financial advisor for 3 little kids. That's what I am. My daughter's doing pretty good because she was born in January of 2009. Pretty good time to be born, right before the recovery. So let's have a conversation about how you approach the market, because that's what's important. And what you need to do is you need to understand at the end of the day, if you are not operating with what I like to call conviction, right here, you know what I'm saying? Conviction. Who do you trust? Yourself. Not Goldman Sachs' conviction buy list, not me, not Pete Najarian, not Jim Cramer, yourself. Because at the end of the day, if you lose money, it's your money. You don't get a bailout. So you need to make sure that you look at these markets properly. And where does that begin with? It begins with education, reading. I probably read on average 2,000 pages per week. The reason why I read is not so I could get ideas from other people, is so I could challenge myself on the ideas that I have and see, A, do too many people think what I think? B, is there something out there that's being written that is in complete opposite, contrary to what I believe, and makes me question myself and say, wait a second, take a step back. Instead of putting on 100% of that position, only put on 25%, only put on 40%. So the first thing that I encourage all of you to do is you must read. And when I say read, I don't know necessarily that I call reading the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal reading, or even Barron's to a certain extent. I mean really rolling up your sleeves, using Fidelity's website, using the research tools there, and understanding before you take action what you're actually getting involved in. That's number one. Now you've got the knowledge. The second thing, by show of hands, at the end of last year, how many of you wrote a plan for 2010 in terms of investment? Excellent. But not enough. Not enough. Sports fans here? Show of hands? Football fans? Okay. I'm 43 years old. New York Giants fan, loved the Giants in the 80s. But I'll tell you what, I sure respected the San Francisco 49ers. Bill Walsh. Everyone remember Bill Walsh? Okay. Bill Walsh, before each game, on Wednesday and Thursday of the week before the game started, would script out 20 plays, the first 20 plays of what he wanted to do against the opponent. The game would begin. He would run the first 20 plays. No matter what the situation was, he would stick to the first 20 plays. Now, granted, he had Jerry Rice and he had Joe Montana, but I think time has told us that it turned out pretty well for Bill Walsh. What I want you to do is I want you to have a written game plan that says, I have 3 positions. I have underweight, market weight, and overweight. And I'm going to trade and I'm going to invest accordingly around that. Because what tends to happen is the bell rings, the emotion kicks in, the commentary on CNBC comes on, Geithner gets up there, Bernanke gets up there. You get some analysts in the middle of the day on CNBC. And by the way, when the analysts in the middle of the day come on CNBC, understand one thing. They might not necessarily have skin in the game. Do you know what I mean by that? Okay? Does anyone ever see Karen Feinerman in the middle of the day on CNBC? No. No. Karen's actively managing money. So be cautious when you see that during the middle of the day. Because what the market does, and what's the market doing right now? The market is tempting all of us to deviate from the plan. It's tempting all of us. It's continually on a daily basis presenting a hyper-bearish press that says to you, don't invest, don't be involved, be scared. March 31st, the Federal Reserve isn't buying mortgage-backed securities anymore. The end of the world is coming. Armageddon is here. And yet, if we can turn on my Bloomberg, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good, right? Now, this is not 2009. This is the tortoise rally. This is the tortoise rally. It is not the hare. The speed at which we advanced in 2009, we will never see that again. We will not see that again. But what you need to have is a simplistic plan that you understand going in where it is you want to be. And I'm going to share at the end of this ideas of where I want to be and how I want to be invested. But you have to have the plan in place ahead of time. I'm going to share a story with you. I started back in this business, fortunately, and I say fortunately, back in 1990 in the New York Mercantile Exchange in the oil pits. So what happens? I get lucky, the first Gulf War. The reality of it is it was a phenomenal time to enter the business when you have that type of action going on in the Middle East. I'm on the phone to does anyone here know, show of hands, the name Paul Tudor Jones? A legend, right? I'm running the phone for Paul's office. January 9th, 1991. Does anyone remember that day? Okay, we're going to use the podium here for a second. January 9th, 1991. Secretary Baker in Geneva comes to the podium just like this and says the word, one word, that all of Wall Street did not want to hear. Anyone know what it is? Regrettably. Regrettably, he sat down with the Iraqis to negotiate them to leave Kuwait, came to the podium and said, regrettably. Okay, so where does simplicity come in? I'm going to tell you. That morning, I'm on the phone with Paul Tudor Jones' office, probably the biggest oil traders in the world at this time. 2 o'clock, Secretary Baker's press conference is scheduled from Geneva. About 12 o'clock, they shut my phone line down. They say to me, Joe, we're done for the day. I said, really? Now I'm sitting there saying to myself, I'm getting fired. What did I do wrong? And what I'm doing is, and if you can envision this on the old trading floors, the trading pit is kind of in the middle, and then they have all these phone banks. So you have all these long phone cords, and this is a true story. When it got real busy and someone was doing a lot of business, one of your competitors